So this is how it begins, not with a press conference, not with a retirement announcement, but with an injury. One player goes down, and the ripple effect becomes a tidal wave. Caitlin Clark, the league's most marketable star, takes a step back to rest her body. Seems simple, right? Athletes get hurt all the time, but this time, it shattered the illusion. Within hours, the WNBA All-Star Game, meant to be a celebration of talent and league growth, suffered a financial nosedive so severe it stunned the entire sports industry. Ticket prices, once historic at $262 resale, plummeted to $64. Refund requests flooded in. The once hyped weekend turned into a bargain bin fiasco. And that wasn't just a blip, that was a red alert. The league's most celebrated event collapsing in real time revealed something terrifying. The WNBA wasn't built on solid ground. It was balancing on one player's shoulders. And when she sat down, the whole foundation began to crack. Overnight, cities banking on millions in tourism dollars were forced to reassess. Sponsors hesitated. Broadcasters reevaluated. Fans got loud, angry, disappointed, and maybe worst of all, disinterested. Because that's the brutal truth no one in the league office wants to face. When Clark stepped away, so did the money, the demand, the buzz. That's not just unfortunate, it's a crisis, a massive, multi-million-dollar disaster that unveiled the fragility of a league many assumed was finally finding its groove. But if you look closer, you'll see that this isn't the end of the story. It's only the beginning. Because while the WNBA was busy trying to contain the PR inferno in Indianapolis, a much bigger fire was igniting overseas. Europe saw everything. The headlines, the chaos, the injury reports. And they didn't flinch. They pounced. Basketball organizations from across the Atlantic didn't just watch the WNBA stumble. They used it, weaponized it, turned it into a recruiting pitch so devastating, so surgical, that it's starting to pull away the very stars the league is built on. It's not speculation anymore. It's happening. The poaching has begun. The WNBA exodus isn't a theory. It's a full-blown movement. And here's the thing. Players are listening. Hard. Because if you're a WNBA athlete watching the top star go from indestructible to barely hanging on, wouldn't you look for an exit too? Caitlin Clark didn't miss a single game at Iowa. She was iron, durable, reliable, and now 4 muscle injuries, 11 games missed in just a few months. That doesn't just happen. That signals something much deeper, much darker, a system that's pushing its players to the brink, then offering no safety net. The whispers started quietly. Was the Indiana Fever medical team up to NBA standards? Why wasn't Clark being protected from physical overload? Then the quotes rolled in. Even head coach Stephanie White couldn't deny it. She publicly acknowledged the intense physical toll being placed on Clark. The way she had to load differently, explode differently, and absorb contact unlike anything she'd experienced before. That's not strategy. That's exploitation. And now, every player in the league is doing the mental math. If Caitlin Clark can be run into the ground, Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's golden goose, what does that mean for the rest of them? The backups, the vets, the rookies without national endorsement deals or viral highlights. If the league can't protect her, how can anyone feel safe? That fear, that crack in confidence, is exactly what European teams are capitalizing on. It's the opening they've waited for, and they're not holding back. Reports are surfacing from credible industry sources. European leagues are now using the WNBA's chaos as bait. That's right, they're showing players the receipts, the injury reports, the declining ticket sales, the public frustration, and then they're making their offer. More money, more respect, more protection. Some of these leagues are offering contracts that outright beat what the WNBA can afford. But that's just the first punch. The knockout blow? Stability, professionalism, safety. Imagine you're a player waking up every day unsure if your body can take another game. You see the headlines about Clark's breakdown. You hear the fan backlash. You watch ticket prices fall off a cliff. Then your agent gets a call. A team in Spain or France isn't just offering you a paycheck. They're offering you peace of mind, better medical care, better facilities, more recovery time, and most of all, respect. Suddenly, staying in the WNBA doesn't feel so brave. It feels reckless. Because the truth is, this isn't just about physical injuries. It's about emotional ones too. These athletes are tired of being ignored, disrespected, told to wait their turn. And when the league's internal dysfunction becomes public, the temptation to walk away grows stronger, especially now. The WNBA is pouring gasoline on its own fire with one of the most poorly timed labor disputes in modern sports. The CBA collective bargaining agreement is a ticking time bomb, and it's about to explode. At the very same All-Star weekend where fans were demanding refunds, the players made their own statement. No interviews, no smiles, just black shirts with a white message. Pay us what you owe us. It wasn't subtle. It was war paint. And if that wasn't enough, WNBA VP Breanna Stewart called the latest CBA meeting a wasted opportunity. Angel Reese, she didn't mince words. We won't stop until we got what we want. That's not negotiation. That's revolution. The union is fed up. Meanwhile, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is telling the media everything is constructive and positive. That's not just out of touch, it's delusional. The gap between what players are living and what the league is selling is wide enough to drive a EuroLeague team bust through. And European recruiters are doing just that. They're looking at that disconnect and seeing opportunity. They're telling players, why beg for respect from a league that doesn't value you when we're offering it to you right now? And here's where the fear really sets in. This isn't just about role players anymore. This could affect the biggest names in the sport. Stars who played overseas during the WNBA offseason are now wondering, why bother coming back? If the money's better, the treatment's better, and the respect is guaranteed, why return to a league that's breaking down in every direction? That's the existential threat. Not just losing a few players, but losing your very identity as the top women's league in the world. Imagine Aya Wilson watching this all unfold, seeing the league fawn over Clark while her own dominance gets ignored. She's already been vocal about the double standards. Now imagine her getting an offer from Europe that makes her the face of a franchise, with medical staff dedicated to her health and a city treating her like royalty. What incentive does she have to stay? If someone like her walks away for good, that's not a loss, it's an earthquake. Because when a player like Aya Wilson makes that kind of decision, if she decides that enough is enough, it sends a message louder than any press release or social media campaign the WNBA could scramble to put together. It says, I gave you my prime, you gave me excuses. And fans, they listen, they follow. They don't just idolize players, they move with them. Sponsorships chase them. Broadcast deals adjust to them. It doesn't just hurt the league's reputation, it decimates it. And let's not forget the global optics. The WNBA has long touted itself as a premier destination for women's basketball talent, the pinnacle of the sport. But if that talent starts vanishing, if the brightest stars begin trading orange courts for overseas arenas, how long before that narrative crumbles? Already, European leagues are upgrading their infrastructure, investing in better marketing, refining their TV deals. They're not just building rosters, they're building brands. And every American defection gives them another brick in that foundation. This isn't just a trend, it's a shift, a migration, a reshaping of power in women's basketball. And at the center of it all is a league that refuses to acknowledge its own reflection in the mirror, because the warning signs aren't subtle, they're seismic. When the highest profile All-Star weekend in WNBA history turns into a refund disaster and a public labor standoff in the same breath, you don't need a PR team, you need an intervention. And yet, the silence from the top is deafening. No league-wide acknowledgement of the player frustration, no transparent review of injury protocols, no commitment to overhaul how stars are treated, just vague platitudes and carefully worded statements that do nothing to mend the growing divide. And that's what makes this situation so volatile, because in that silence, Europe is speaking louder than ever. They're not just recruiting, they're seducing, with guaranteed roles, with personal trainers, with financial security, and most of all, with dignity. Every player who feels ignored or overworked here is hearing a very different story over there. We see you, we value you, we'll take care of you. And when you stack that message against what's been unfolding in the WNBA, it's no contest. One league is on life support, the other is extending a lifeline. And here's the twist no one expected. This poaching isn't even new. Players have gone overseas for years during the WNBA offseason for better pay. But what's changed now is intent. Europe isn't just borrowing players anymore. They're hunting for a permanent residence. They've watched the Clark disaster and the CBA meltdown, and they've realized the time to strike is now. And players? They're no longer looking at those overseas offers as temporary boosts. They're seeing them as career moves. The union can sense it. That's why their tone has shifted from negotiation to confrontation. They understand what's at stake. This CBA fight isn't about a few more dollars or a better travel schedule. It's about the survival of the league itself. If leadership doesn't budge, if they don't recognize the depth of this discontent, they're not just risking a rough season, they're risking a full-blown collapse. Because there's something psychological about watching your league's golden child get worn down and sacrificed for short-term profits. It changes you. It makes you question everything. The fans may not see it. The media might not say it. But the locker rooms, they feel it. The mood is shifting. Trust is eroding. And unity, it's cracking. And here's what's most terrifying for the WNBA leadership. The exodus doesn't need to be massive to be lethal. It doesn't take 50 players walking out the door. It takes 5. The right 5. Aya Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Jewel Lloyd, Sabrina Ionescu, Eric Ogunbo. Imagine if even a couple of them said, "I'm staying overseas this time." That would shake the entire league to its core. Suddenly, your product isn't just less appealing, it's downgraded. National broadcasts lose marquee matchups. Jersey sales decline. Casual fans tune out. And in that vacuum, international leagues step in with flashier games, healthier stars, and a narrative that feels modern, progressive, and global. The WNBA becomes what it once fought not to be, an afterthought. That's not now. Can the WNBA pull itself out of this tailspin before it's too late? Can leadership regain the trust of the players it claims to champion? Can they pivot from marketing slogans to real structural change? Or has the league already crossed a point of no return? Right now, it's standing at the edge of a cliff, and every delay, every ignored plea, every dismissed concern pushes it closer to freefall. Because once a player finds peace somewhere else, once she discovers a league that values her body, her time, her voice, getting her back isn't negotiation. It's a miracle, and the WNBA doesn't have miracles to spare. It has a decision to make. Fast. Either listen to its players, invest in its future, and rebuild its foundation, or watch helplessly as that foundation gets rebuilt across the ocean. And make no mistake, the clock is ticking. The poaching has already begun. The exodus is already underway. And if the WNBA doesn't wake up soon, it won't just lose players. It'll lose its purpose, its identity, its future. Because in a global game, respect is currency. And right now, the league is bankrupt. So the question isn't, will anyone leave next? The question is, who's already packed their bags? Because once that domino falls, it's over. Sponsors will flee. Viewership will crater. Networks will cut ties. The remaining players left to pick up the pieces in a league that can no longer claim dominance. Meanwhile, the international leagues rise. Their broadcasts improve. Their branding sharpens. Their talent pool deepens. The WNBA doesn't just lose stars, it loses leverage. The illusion of being the pinnacle of women's basketball gets shattered beyond repair. And that brings us back full circle. Clark's injury wasn't just a setback. It was a siren, a bright red warning flare exposing everything wrong with the current system. From overuse to underpayment, from medical neglect to managerial chaos, the Clark incident ripped the bandage off a festering wound. And now, the whole world sees it. Europe sees it. The players see it. The fans see it. And unless the WNBA acts fast, it's not a question of it. The exodus will continue. It's a matter of who's next, because the poaching has already begun. The recruitment pitches are already landing. The agents are already talking. This isn't a hypothetical storm on the horizon. It's a flood at the front door. The WNBA's greatest weakness has become its competitor's greatest weapon. And unless leadership finds a way to restore trust, rebuild protections, and recenter the league around all of its talent, not just one, it may find itself watching from the sidelines while another league steals its future. So now we hand over to you, the fans, the analysts, the ones still holding out hope. Do you believe the WNBA can survive the storm? Can the league course correct before the talent drain becomes irreversible? Or are we already witnessing the beginning of the end? Drop your thoughts below. Because one thing is certain, if this league doesn't learn from the Clark collapse, history won't be kind. And Europe? They're not waiting. They're already building what the WNBA refused to protect: